everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 198. Andrew Eisen here, with actual specific topics to talk about. Let's see if I actually get to any of them tonight, because the last few weeks have just been Andrew therapy sessions, and I've been ignoring topics. So, the first thing I'd like to talk about tonight is Carole Tuesday. I just released a debut review for Carole Tuesday, so you can watch that on my YouTube channel. And I like music. I like anime. This is a music anime, so I thought there's a decent chance I'd like it, but as I noted in the review, I've seen a bunch of music anime, and while I wouldn't say any of them are bad, none of them have really captured my interest. So, but I came away from, did I see Devolver's show? Oh, did that air already? I did not. I look forward to checking that out, because I've enjoyed that over the years. Anyway, my takeaway from Carole Tuesday was, I thought it was pretty good, and was interested in seeing more. So, it was today. Okay, well, cool. I'll have to check that out tonight. I knew there was going to be one, I just didn't know when. But I did see Nintendo's, and we'll talk about that tonight, whatever. This morning, depending on where you are, or when you watch this. So Carole Tuesday. So I came out of my debut review, pretty pleased. I liked the show, liked the characters, liked the music. I was excited to watch episode 2. The debut review, for anyone interested, it premiered on my YouTube channel yesterday. I think I recorded it like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, so it's been in the can for a little bit. I have since watched episode 2, and I almost stopped right there, because episode 2 I felt was fairly awful. But it's one of those things where I kind of want to like the show. There's enough elements that I really like that I'm like, all right, let's give it another episode. So I gave it a third episode, and it was improved. Still wasn't really sold on the show, but, I thought I'd tune in for episode 4. So I watched episode 4 and thought it was kind of bad. I didn't like what it was doing. But again, kind of want to like the show, so I watched episode 5, and okay, it's a little bit back on track. So, what is not grabbing me about Carole Tuesday? For those who don't know, it's about two women who find each other in the big city on Mars, because this is the future. And one's a pianist and one plays a guitar, and they both sing. One writes melodies, one writes lyrics. So they get together and they decide to make music. Cool. Hey, Warren. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're well. In my debut review, I mentioned that the side characters were interesting. We got to know them a little bit. We have a washed-up band manager. We have a young starlet with a mother who used to be a starlet and knows that she will grow out of stardom if she's not careful, so she wants to transition out of commercials and into singing. So I was like, okay, there's some interesting stuff with the side characters here. Here's the problem I have with the show. I, for the most part, don't like any of the side characters. I don't like the way they're used, and I'm not interested in them. For the most part, there is some good stuff. Like the manager, he has an interesting relationship with his ex-wife. He used to be a drummer. He's apparently a manager of some repute, at least in days gone by, because he has a lot of friends and a lot of connections. The problem I have is he's a bit too goofy for my taste, and he's also, at least as of episode 5, completely and utterly useless. He essentially kicks down Carole and Tuesday's door in the second episode and forces them to take him on as their manager. So far, he's useless. He's done nothing. I don't know why he's there. Again, there's some elements of the character that I think could be interesting, but moreover, I find him kind of grating and creepy. The little starlet with the mom who's trying to be a singer, she has, at least so far, absolutely no connection to the A story. It's like a completely different show. And I don't know anything about her other than she would like to not follow in her mom's footsteps and become completely obscure, known only as a child actor. That's great, but I don't know enough about you to really care about you because you have almost no personality. Hopefully she'll be involved with the plot at some point. There's another guy, the guy who discovered Carole and Tuesday, and he just he filmed them and uploaded their video to YouTube, and it went viral. He has no character other than he's a fan of their music. That's it. He just kind of follows them around. He's actually done more for them than their manager. He got them a car to use in a music video. He got them a place to like a little coffee shop to sing in. So he's been a bit more useful, but I don't care about him because he's barely a character. He's just there. But I like Carole and Tuesday, the characters. I really like the music, and that's it. I appreciate the little details of the show, especially in the music. For example, in the 5th episode, they're performing at the little bar that their friend got them. And one nice thing is it's clear that the animators are using reference material for the for animating the pianist and the guitar player, because the pianist is playing correct notes and chords at the correct times, and the guitar fingering positions on the fret are correct, and she's plucking the correct strings at the correct time. So there's obviously some reference footage going on there, and they took the time to animate it correctly, which I really appreciate. I also really liked a spot where one of them has a cell phone sitting on a music stand, and in the middle of the song she taps the cell phone to start a pre-recorded percussion track. You know, normally in this kind of show, they just like, okay, you have one character playing the piano, you have one character playing the acoustic guitar. We'll just subtly slide in a percussion track just because, who cares? No, there's actually an in-universe explanation for the percussion track, and I really appreciate that. So, I'm really not sold on this show, but for now, I'm going... Episode 2 almost killed me, Episode 4 almost... I almost stopped at Episode 4 after about, 7 minutes, and it's like, okay, nope, I'm done. But, the music's really good. I like the leads. I like the, slight future Mars city that they're in, and some of the neat stuff they have going on there. I mean, it takes place on Mars, but the technology in the city is mostly stuff you could imagine us seeing in, 5 to 10 years. So, I'll probably keep watching it for at least one more episode, because I'd really like to like it. But if I don't, well, there's always Gem and the Holograms. That's cartoon, it's music, and it's really good. So that's Carole and Tuesday. If anyone watched my debut review and was wondering what I thought of the show after seeing a few episodes. Pardon me. Now we're going to have to talk about Nintendo. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Nintendo. So let's talk about Nintendo. Nintendo this week aired a Nintendo Treehouse Live. which has, for the last several years, been a live streaming show that they've done during E3, where they'd have Treehouse peoples and developers and PR peoples play video games and talk about video games, so that to entice us into buying them whenever the hell they come out. So Nintendo did that today. No, not today. Thursday, sometime this week. I've lost all sense of time. And they showed off 2 games, Paper Mario Origami King, and one super secret surprise new IP exclusive to Switch, title by WayForward, developers of Shantae. Ooh, how exciting. That sounded sarcastic, but no, that's genuinely exciting. WayForward's pretty great. This show was terrible. It was so bad, I was embarrassed for Nintendo. Hi, Jordan. Oh, you're watching Split? Okay. Haven't seen that. I did see, what was the first one? The one with Bruce Willis. That narrows it down. The one that came before Split. Where he's kind of a superhero, where water's his kryptonite. I seriously cannot remember the name of this movie. Samuel L. Jackson plays Mr. Glass. Unbreakable. Jesus, how... Oh, man. Glass is the new one. That has all 3 of them. Mr. Glass, Bruce Willis, and Split Man. I don't know what the character's name is. So, yeah, Unbreakable. I didn't really care for it. I thought it was okay, but I was like, eh. Anyway, I was talking about Nintendo. Yes, Nintendo. Nintendo, I love you, and I say this with all due respect. Never, ever live stream in anything ever again. You can't do it. You're not good enough. Pre-record everything. Please. For me. Because I was so embarrassed for you. This was unbelievably amateurish. It was embarrassing. Sadly, both in content and in technology, and I'll get to the content in a second. So the problem is I don't know what technology or platform they were using to get 3 or 4 people talking together on a stream. But you should use a different one. Because the one you're using seems to have like at least a 4-second delay. It would have been better if you just had them all on the phone. Because it was really hard to watch the entire presentation, because someone would be talking, and then someone would interject something, and then they'd hear it 4 seconds later, and then they'd stop, and then the other person would stop, and you'd have for the next 30 seconds them going, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I was just saying something. No, you go. Oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead. No, I'm just, you go ahead. It's like, oh my God, Nintendo. Seriously. Now, I understand horrible technical problems happen, but wow, this was embarrassingly bad. There's really no reason to live stream it. And I'm assuming this was live streamed, because if this was pre-recorded, that's even worse. I mean, at least if this was pre-recorded, you could have edited it together in a way that kind of cut out all that nonsense. Jordan says, how much would you freak if Nintendo's next pre-recorded direct they said, this is for you, Andrew? I'd feel pretty good. And I'd enjoy a direct without these problems. Seriously, so one, it was embarrassing. Number 2, everyone is doing virtual meetings and stuff right now. For work, a lot of people are doing podcasts like that. A lot of talk shows are doing the same exact thing. I have not seen anybody have problems like this. Now, maybe you just did not expect that problem. Maybe that was a one-time deal, but your guest just did not handle it very well. Because the whole thing with someone talking and then someone interjecting something, and the first person talking, here's the interjection, stops, and then the other person is stopped, and there's just dead air. They didn't handle it very well. So don't do that again, please. It made it really hard to watch, and it was embarrassing. So how's Paper Mario look? Looks fine. Looks cute. I really didn't like Sticker Star, and I still have not played Color Splash, even though it looked better. I didn't even finish Sticker Star. I literally stopped playing it because I didn't want to play it anymore. Jordan says, I'd freak if in the next live stream Nintendo played Hardball and said, we're live streaming it. Because up yours, Eisen! Honestly, I'd feel pretty good about that too. It's like Senpai noticed me. So here's one of the major problems, in my very, very humble opinion, of Color Splash. In Color Splash, you use Sticker Star. In Sticker Star, you gather stickers in the environment, and all the stickers are your attacks that you use in fights. So if you have collected 4 boot stickers, you will be able to kick Goombas in the face 4 times, because each time you use a sticker, it's gone. They are not reusable. How do you get more stickers? Well, you can find them in the environment. Yeah, I think you just find them in the environment. You just peel them off the wall. So, why bother fighting anything? Why collect all these stickers just to waste them in a battle? There's fighting in Sticker Star is like completely useless. Color Splash. So in Color Splash, it's similar to Sticker Star, but you use paint to paint your cards, fill them in with color so you can use them. Okay, I think you have unlimited cards. You just have to paint them in order to activate them. So you need paint. Which you also need paint to fill in parts of the environment that aren't painted. But here's the thing. You can get paint in the environment. So why waste paint to get paint by fighting enemies when you can just get paint from the environment and not waste your paint fighting enemies, even though you get more... I don't know, I haven't played the game, but that sounds like it's going to be a similar problem to Sticker Star. So, this brings us to Origami King. There are holes in the environment that you need to fill with confetti. But you can find plenty of confetti in the environment. You could fight enemies, and you could get more confetti for doing it, but why? You also get coins for fighting enemies, but there's plenty of coins in the environment. What do you use coins for? Well, I'm sure there are some things to buy, but as far as I know, you use coins to increase the timer during battle, so you have more time to adjust the arena. Or you can bribe the audience to come kick the enemy's butt. Or you could just not fight anything. As Matthew points out, there's no XP, so again, what's the point of fighting if you don't get anything out of it? If all the stuff you need to fight is... If the reward for fighting is just stuff you use to fight, then and can be picked up in the environment, then fighting is literally pointless. But it may be really fun, so I don't know. We'll see. Game's not out yet. Which brings us to the second game of the Nintendo Treehouse, which was the super secret new IP from WayForward. That's a Switch exclusive, and it is called Bakugan, Champions of Vestroia. I feel my finger is at least in the neighborhood of the pulse of popular culture. I'm sure Bakugan is a thing. I'm sure it's for children, but even so, I'm surprised I have never heard of it. Chat, had any of you ever heard of Bakugan before? I had not. I mean, I know what Paw Patrol is. I mean, I've heard it. I couldn't like name characters or anything, but I've at least heard of it. I've heard of PJ Masks. Again, couldn't tell you much about it, but I've at least heard of it. Is it like exclusive to Japan, maybe? Is it a kid show that's only in Japan? I mean, seriously, I've never heard of this before. So, in addition to the technical issues with the stream, there being like a 4, maybe 5 second delay between all the participants in the live stream, which made it really difficult to listen to as a viewer. This game looks like crap. All due respect, WayForward, I love you, but this game is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. You should feel bad. And if the host from WayForward is any indication, you are embarrassed. And you do feel bad. But maybe you shouldn't, because the guy from the company representing Bakugan, he also seems bored out of his mind and does not want to talk about this property at all. So, I'm guessing, I don't know what's going on here. Are you just cashing in a known IP to make money so that you can afford to make the games you really want? Well, hey, can't fault you there. But Nintendo, why did you put this, and again, pardon me for the strong language, piece of garbage on your live stream? Why would you do that? I mean, this is... Not only is this a Pokemon ripoff, it's a really bad one that looks like it was developed by like one indie developer, not a known company. Maybe this game is years out or something. Here's how the game works, alright? Near as I can tell. So, like Pokemon, you wander around and you see a fellow battler, and you walk up to them and let's battle! Bakugan, go! And they throw a ball from which a Bakugan pops out. What's the difference? The Bakugan are about 4 stories tall. All of them. Okay. So now we have 2 Bakugan standing in an arena facing each other with almost no animation. They just kind of stand there with a bit of a sway for an idle pose, and they have one attack, a very limited animation, very stiffly animated attack, and one reaction that, you know, that kind of a thing. That's it. So what do? Well, little glowing balls of light appear at the Bakugan's feet, and you as the trainer, or whatever the lingo in this world is, have to run around the monsters and pick up the little balls of light, try to get to them before the opposing trainer. As you pick up the little balls of light, which appear randomly around the Bakugan's feet, it fills up a meter on the side of the screen. When the meter's filled, you can do attacks. That's it. You wander around picking up little balls of light at the feet to fill a meter to perform the special attacks. It is boring as hell. It is so boring. All due respect, the two kids from Nintendo Treehouse were appropriately enthused, but the dude from Spin Master, or whoever owns Bakugan, and the dude from WayForward looked and sounded like they didn't want to be there and did not want to talk about or show or play this game, and honestly, I can't blame them because it genuinely looks that bad. The animation is terrible. The modeling is substandard. The overall look is clean but very simple. The environments are dull and uninspired. Non-player characters do not even, just kind of walk in a path, like back and forth or in a circle or even a square. They stand rooted to the spot and barely have like kind of a swaying idle animation. If you talk to them from the side, they just pivot in place to face you. They don't have any animation to turn around. If they're standing near a curb, there's no such thing as like inverse kinematics that will put their leg up so that it's on the curb. No, they just clip into the curb. When you're talking to characters, you get the character profiles, but they're actually the 3D models, and they're not animated at all. They don't move. They don't blink. The mouths don't flap. There is nothing going on there. I have absolute... Did somebody lose a bet? Nintendo, what? Do you have literally nothing else to show? I have no idea why Nintendo chose to show this, because it's embarrassingly bad, and I feel bad being that harsh, considering I like WayForward. So, let's see what the Jordan says Bakugan is more sidelined than Digimon. I'd consider them cult anime. I don't like Digimon either, and I know what that is. I've heard of that. Digimon, digital monsters, something. Ugh, it's crap. I actually did watch like a couple episodes of Digimon just to compare it back in the day. I was like, wow, this is awful. Of course, I don't think Pokemon's any good either, so... Jordan says, I find it hard to believe you've never heard of Bakugan. It was a minor success with toys and its anime through Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. It's called a cult following. I never got into myself. Oh, it's that old? Wow. I figured it was like a new property. It's been around a while, huh? So it's an old ripoff that... Well, if it's... Oh, is it still going? No, I have genuinely never heard of it. Had never heard of it before, and that kind of surprised me. And it looks awful. Everyone involved should be embarrassed because it is incompetent. I don't know why Nintendo decided to show it. I imagine if anyone knows what if there are young kids who are just big Bakugan fans, they'll buy anything with Bakugan on it, or parents will pick it up because it says Bakugan and it's like, Bakugan, isn't that what the kid's saying? But, wow, this looks awful. I hate to hammer on this, because I don't like being mean, but I was so stunned about this that I was like, yeah, if it was a game that just didn't interest me, I wouldn't have bothered talking about it, but this was just so unbelievably bad that I'm compelled to talk about it because I genuinely cannot fathom what the hell Nintendo was thinking. I can get why WayForward would do this. They're just doing it for the quick cash so that they can make something they really want. Well, hey, can't say I blame you. I still expect better from you, WayForward. You're better than this. This is beneath you. Not the property. Go ahead, make a Bakugan game, but make a good, competent game. This is not. This is a stain on your reputation. This devalues you as a company. I don't know why you do this. But from Nintendo's perspective, why the hell would you spotlight this? Why would you put this in the same company as Paper Mario, even if that game ultimately turns out to be not great. Who the hell knows? But I am just aghast. So are there going to be any other Nintendo Treehouses? This is the kind of game that, honestly, I would think twice before putting in the third-party montage in the middle of a longer presentation, you know? Where you only see like 4 seconds of it. I'd think, I don't know, maybe a quick 4 seconds of the giant monsters facing each other. And that's it. But hey, I'm not a rich person who owns a global business, so what do I know? So, Alatreon is how you pronounce Alatreon. I've been calling that monster Alatreon for years, but apparently it's Alatreon. I'm probably going to screw that up as I talk about Alatreon. Alatreon was released for Monster Hunter World this week. Cool monster, cool fight. Actually, I think the fight is more fun than the one in 3 Ultimate, which is the one I played. So, I've not beaten Alatreon yet. For those who don't know, it's a big dragon. All right, so they released a big dragon to fight in Monster Hunter. Jordan says Yokai Watch was fairly recent. It's been around for a while, but yeah, I don't think it's as old as early 2000s. And total ripoff of Pokemon, yet did decently. You know, I'd say it's distinct enough from Pokemon to be its own thing, but it's certainly not for me, but it's not incompetent or embarrassing to look at. I think going back to the previous topic, I think the main... all you have to do is watch the Bakugan guy and the Way Forward guy and watch how completely uninterested in this game they are. That tells you everything you need to know. Anyway, back to Alatreon. Haven't played Monster Hunter World in a while, so I was looking forward to getting back into it and kicking the snot out of a giant dragon. So, I watched the developer diary, and I knew the dragon's big attack, you know, it has this big supernova attack that can easily one-shot you if you don't pay attention or do a thing or whatever. So I play the game, start fighting Alatreon, and we get to, and it's really cool monster. It's a dragon that has control over all of the elements. So it can spit fire at you, it can spit water, which is more like oil because then it lights it on fire. It can shoot icicles, it can summon lightning, and dragon is an element too, just go with it. It can breathe dragon. It's a noxious, gaseous thing that it can do. Normally monsters just have one element, maybe 2, like in the case of Namiel. But yeah, Alatreon's got all of them. I'm surprised Alatreon doesn't like have slime and like blast blight you or something. Anyway, so I fight it, and the sound drops out, and your cheerleaders are like, "Oh my God! Here comes the big attack! Get your healing items ready!" And I'm like, "All right." And I'm at full health, and I'm like, "Okay, got my healing item ready. I'm ready to start chugging the healing juice. I'm ready." And it's like, "Here it comes!" And boom, dead. I'm like, "Oh, what was I supposed to do with the healing item?" Now, to be fair, it's not an instant kill. It's about a 3/4 of a second kill, because I had full health, and my health bar went nyomp. I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking maybe you need to start chugging it before the attack hits so that you're in the process of healing while you're getting slammed with the supernova thing. But here's the problem. I run a set with really high raw and elemental defense and health regenerative powers, so I'm pretty often at full health like I was at that time. And if you try to chug a health drink while you're at full health, your character goes and doesn't drink, so you're not wasting items. So I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. But I had an idea. I said, okay. So I carted, and I went back to camp, and I grabbed the health smoker. It's this little smoker that you throw on the ground that billows out a cloud of green health that you stand in, and it heals you. So I'm like, all right. So the next time the judgment came, which is the name of it's like Eschaton Judgment or something like that, I throw down the smoker, and I'm standing in there. I'm like, ha-ha! I have figured this stuff out. So I'm at full health, I'm standing in a cloud of regenerating health, and I die within 3/4 of a second. I'm like, huh. Okay. So I got a speed eating level 3, which allows you to chug stuff real quick. And I tried a couple different things. I tried the dust of life, which is a thing you throw on the ground. Tried the smoker. Tried Astera jerky, which is probably one of the quickest consumable items. Nope. Just died. I went, okay. Tried the Superman dive. Nope, still died. Tried the Final Fantasy jump. Nope, still died. Possible. Now I haven't read the chat yet, but I do know what the solution is by now. I'm just walking you through the story, so no need to explain to me in the chat how this works. It's Matthew says, was there a rock or something to hide behind? Good question, because both Safi Jiva and Behemoth do similar will murder you if you don't stand behind a rock kind of thing. No, there's nothing to hide behind. There occasionally will be pillars of ice because Alatreon shoots icicles at you. Standing behind the pillar of ice doesn't do anything either. Also, you cannot, Farcasters are disabled, so you can't Farcaster back to camp. So at this point, I'd carted like 6 times. I'd been through 2 quests, maybe 3 quests, and I was a little stumped on what the hell I was supposed to do. And Jordan says, how badass of a monster do you have to... Nope, and Jordan just took the message back. Okay. Well, it is a badass monster. You were saying something about the Judgment. It's the name of the move. Alatreon has a move called Eschaton Judgment or something like that. Well, you have a monster field guide or field manual that tells you information about a monster, but you have to kill the monster before the guide is updated, typically. So I didn't really have that as a source. But my buddies in-game, my handlers there... Hi, Scrungle! Talking about Monster Hunter. Talking about my journey through the Alatreon fight. So to catch you up, Alatreon has a giant will kill you in a second flat move that you can't heal through, or dodge, or run away from. It just kills you. And I was thinking, is this just something like you have to kill the monster before it does this thing 3 times? But all the characters are yelling at you about elemental damage. They're like, we need to do elemental damage. We need to use the right element. I'm like, great, but I haven't beaten the monster, so I don't know what it's weak to. Also, it keeps changing elements, so... But I did notice, because by this point I had fought the monster 2 or 3 times, every time it started in fire active element. So I went, okay. So if it's always going to start in fire, then I'll bring in a water weapon and beat the snot out of it. Of course, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do once it switches to dragon or ice, because I can't run back to camp and switch out weapons, because again, Farcasters are disabled. So I bring in my water weapon, and I gem in water attack. And I start smacking the crap out of Alatreon. And I'm still not noticing any difference. But that's when I notice that Alatreon keeps dragon blighting me. Not that I hadn't noticed before, but I thought to myself, Self, you're spending a decent amount of time in this fight. Dragon Blight is a status ailment which prevents you from doing elemental damage. So if I'm bringing in my water weapon trying to do water damage, if I'm Dragon Blighted, I only do raw damage. I don't do any water damage until I clear the Dragon Blight. So I realized I was spending a decent chunk of time running away from the monster, popping a Nullberry to clear the Dragon Blight, and then running back to smack him. I thought, okay, alright, here's the plan. New plan. I'm going to gem in Blight Resistance so that all of the downtime I'm using to clear Dragon Blight, I am now using to smack Alatreon upside the head. Okay. Now we've got a plan. So I'm smacking Fire Alatreon upside the head with my water sword, and I knock him over, and my handler says, "Yay, you've decreased his power!" And I went, "Oh, okay, cool." So I kept wailing on him, and Eschaton Judgment pops up, and my health bar drains noticeably faster, which allows me to pop a healing item and heal through it. And I survived Eschaton Judgment! Huzzah! Scrungle says, wouldn't you be able to negate the debuff if you brought a hunting horn? What does the debuff do? Dragon Blight prevents you from dealing elemental damage. So if you have a water weapon, which is what I went in there, to inflict water element damage to the fire-type dragon, if you're Dragon Blighted, your weapon will not do any elemental damage. So, in order to weaken the Eschaton Judgment to keep from dying, you have to hit Alatreon with elemental attacks, the proper elemental attacks, so if he's fire, use water. But if you're Dragon Blighted, which almost all of his attacks, if you're nailed, will, even if he lightly brushes up against you, he looks at you cross and you get Dragon Blighted. You have to pop a Nullberry to clear the Dragon Blight before you can continue doing elemental damage. Matthew Wilson says, so you failed a DPS check. Got it. That's exactly what it is. It's a DPS check, and I hate those. I don't like damage checks because that's just not how I play. You know, I'm a very casual hunter. I like just running around and smacking the I like hitting the monster with a stick. I don't like being, strategic or efficient about it. I just like hitting the giant monster in the head with my boom boom stick. Get good, nerd, says Skunggle. Yeah, so I had a blight resistance, so I no longer had to worry about dragon blight or any of the, because you can get water blight, ice blight, thunder blight, and what's the other one? Fire blight. So I survive Eschaton Judgment. Here's the problem. My water sword is great when Alatreon is in fire element, but it doesn't really seem to work much when I'm in when Alatreon's in dragon mode or ice mode. My water sword doesn't really seem to do squat against ice mode Alatreon, so I couldn't deliver enough elemental damage to reduce the Eschaton Judgment. Because here's what I noticed the sequence was. Starts out in fire, moves to dragon, moves to ice, then back to dragon, then back to fire, then back to dragon, then back to ice, and so forth. So it goes in a little loop. So when I start out, when he's in fire, I hit him with my water sword, and that stops Eschaton Judgment. But he cycles through to ice. I've still got my water sword because I can't go back to camp and change it out unless I cart. And I could change my sword, but by the time I got back, he'd probably change again, so it's not really much point in doing that. So I'm like, okay, now what? Well, I noticed that every time Alatreon is in dragon mode, the middle mode between the two extremes, my handler keeps yelling, "This is it! Break his horns! It's the only time his horns are vulnerable!" And I'm like, so what? Why? Who cares? Okay, don't have anything better to do. Which is kind of a pain in the ass, because when Alatreon is in dragon mode, Alatreon is very angry, and when Alatreon's very angry, Alatreon moves very fast and likes to fly in the air. And when Alatreon moves fast and hangs out in the air, I can't hit him in the head where his horns are, because my smack'em stick is only so long, which makes it difficult. You might think, well, just throw a flashbang or a flash bomb and knock him out of the sky. I would, but it don't work, because he's very angry and he doesn't care about your flash bombs. Doesn't take him out of the sky. SOB is telling me, yeah, I know. It says, yeah, you got to break his horns in dragon mode. That's right, you do. It's tough. So I'm like, okay. There's only a few windows that you can, where his horns are in reach. Luckily, his horns are like glass. They break pretty easy. It only, I use a charge blade. It really only took about maybe 8 to 10 upswings to damage a horn. So that was good. But man, it is hard to hit him in the head, because he does not like to be anywhere near the ground. What about the grappling hook they added? Good question, Matthew. The problem is the grappling hook is really unreliable. I don't know if my controller sucks or if it's just the game, but a decent percentage of the time I'll aim and fire and my grapple hook just won't fire. I'm like, ha-ha! Nothing. And timing is everything. Also, as I mentioned, Alatreon's very, very mad, and pretty much any time you grapple, Alatreon will shake you off. So a lot of my time was spent experimenting on when exactly I could grapple his damn face. And right after 2 of the ice attacks seem to be the safe times where I can grapple his head, and just hope that he's somewhere near a wall that I can wallbang him into, which will knock him over, which gives me a good chance to start smacking him in the head. And if he's not, well, then I can at least tenderize his face. That's nice. Needless to say, it's really tough. So on my next quest, I'm like, alright, I'm bringing in the Rocksteady mantle, so I can power through some of the attacks and not get shook off and start smacking on his head. Grappling hook has left the chat. So I break his horn and my handler yells at me something like, "Ha-ha! Now he can't switch to ice!" I'm like, oh. Okay, I think I see how this is supposed to work now. So, starts in fire. Use the water sword to do lots of elemental damage to knock him over so that the Eschaton Judgment doesn't kill you. Then he switches to dragon mode. Smack him in the head, which is really difficult because he just likes to fly all around the room and you have to chase after him. Hard to hit him in the head when he's moving. But if you can break a horn, he'll do Eschaton Judgment, you can survive, and then he'll switch back to fire mode where your water sword is still useful. Okay, now I get how this works. The problem is, I'm not terribly consistent at knocking him out of, at weakening him with the element. So, after I think about 6 fights with the gentleman, my Monster Hunter guidebook finally updates with an entry for Alatreon, and I go, ooh. So, pardon me. So I look in my book, and it shows the status weaknesses. Fire active Alatreon is not weak to water. It's weak to ice. Oh! Oh! Of course! Well, heck, that one's on me. I mean, this isn't Pokemon. Why would I think the fire dragon was weak to water? I mean, honestly, when your house is on fire, the fire department comes over and then throws buckets of ice cubes on your house. It's only obvious. So I went, okay, so I changed out my charm from a water charm to an ice charm, grabbed an ice weapon, went back in there, and when you're using the proper element, Alatreon does go down like a chump pretty quick. So now that I'm using an ice charge blade, god damn it. You know, I could have looked this up on the internet, but that's no fun. So I went in there with my ice charge blade and knocked him over fairly easily. I'm like, huh. Funny that. So now that I'm using the proper equipment, and now that I also put my Palico on Shield Spire, which is a weapon that, or a utility that basically can distract a monster so they're not 100% focused on you. So, you know, Alatreon, my little cat is like, hey buddy, over here, neener, 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 and the dragon's like, son of a bitch, and goes over and starts yelling at him, and I just sneak up behind Alatreon and start hitting him in the crotch with my charge blade. So, I mean, that's not the best place to hit him. Well, let me take that back. His crotch is definitely the best place to hit him when you're immature like me, but it doesn't have like the highest hit zone value. But I don't care, because I think it's funny just walking up under his big meaty tail and start upswinging him in the crotch. Anyway, so now I can consistently knock him over and depower the Eschaton Judgment. I'm still not consistent at breaking a horn to keep him from going into ice mode. I'm, I guess, better than 50%, but he's really tough to hit in the head. But I mean, he's so glass horned that you could probably knock a horn off with like a Kinsect if you just kept aiming at his head. It's a different weapon though. Actually, it's probably easier for the melee weapons because you bring in a bowgun and just, it's like, I'm loading in the ice ammo. Oh, you switched? Well, let me load in the fire ammo. I don't care. So tough to hit in the head with a melee weapon. So really now my challenge, the only challenge I now have to overcome with this fight is to stop sucking long enough to actually beat Alatreon. So that's what the goal is now. Stop sucking long enough to not die. Because the Eschaton Judgment doesn't kill me anymore. Alatreon just flattens you. Because it's a powerful monster. A lot of its attacks can reduce your health by about half. And a lot of his attacks, if you're caught wrong, will either send you flying or knock you on your ass, which it will take a few precious seconds to recover from. And if Alatreon is feeling really mean, he will butt stomp you to death while you're trying to get up. So even though you can survive a hit from Alatreon, you may not survive getting up. And that's happened a few times where I commit to an attack and he does something and I get sent flying and then he does something else which kills me. That does happen. But having said that, beating him is definitely doable. even if I have to eat for feline safeguard. One of the feline food skills is you can cart 4 times instead of 3. You know, with that little buffer might help. So, really, that's the biggest problem is this fight forces me to play in a way that is not my style. As Matthew was saying, it's a DPS check, and I hate that. I'm a casual kind of player. I like hitting the enemy in the crotch. You know, it's a bad hit zone, but it makes me laugh. You know, my armor builds are for comfort. I like stuff like speed eating. You know, I have all the utility skills that nobody would be caught dead using. People are like, "Oh no, man, resentment, critical eye." It's like, nah, I'm like stone thrower, tool specialist, speed eating. It's like, what are you doing? I'm having fun. What are you doing? So, as Alatreon is super cool. I really love that thing's moveset. Very fun fight. The only thing I don't like is it forces me to play in a way that is not how I would naturally play, but oh well. I want to see what its armor looks like and its weapons. So let's see, what have we been talking about? Oh, it has a sweet looking charge blade. Nice, because I love me my charge blade. My favorite thing to do, which actually works really well in this particular fight, is the Savage Axe mode. Basically, that's where you are in axe mode, and the axe end spins like a damn buzzsaw. It's hilarious. Does does a good job of stacking on the elemental damage. So working up to that works really well. And actually, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever gemmed in Stone Thrower. I was just trying to think of utility skills that most people wouldn't use. What do I think of... oh, wait, I'm missing one. How many games in your childhood kicked your butt without the internet for help? Well, considering I was a child during, like, the NES era, a lot, you know? But we did have, like, the Nintendo call center line where you could call Nintendo and ask them how the hell to beat this or what you're supposed to do. And I did actually call them a couple of times, with Mom's permission. But yeah, you know, Battletoads was hard. Let's see. What do I think about Frostfang Barioth? I think it looks like Barioth got his head stuck in the freezer, which is kind of funny. I'll admit I'm a little disappointed that it's nothing new. It's just a variant on an existing monster, but I love Barioth, so that's fine. Pardon. I prefer subspecies better because they tend to be much more distinct from the main species. Variants are usually usually just stronger or have a harder attack. They're usually exactly the same. They might be like they might be faster or generally bigger or have one new gimmick, but you know, I'm looking forward to it. I really like the look more than anything else. That head caught in the freezer look, because he's got like a beard that's all got frost on it, and his tusks are covered in frost. Looks really funny. Let's see. Metroid Prime says Scrungle took me roughly 9 years to beat the game fully because we couldn't finish the riddles. I don't recall riddles in that game, but okay. Matthew says, isn't this like the final monster though? No, there's Frostfang is August something, and then according to the roadmap, there's going to be one more returning monster. So, it's probably going to be another black dragon or something. I doubt it's going to be like Duramboros or something. What's the first black dragon? Not Valhazak. Fatalis. That'd probably be my guess, is Fatalis. But we'll see. Have I ever played Dead by Daylight? I have not. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire was a tough cookie, but I loved it no matter how much I lost. I played that on the N64 too. I really liked it, and it was could be tough. Some of it was the design of the game, but was generally a tough game. Yeah. What do I think of the fact that this patch for Monster Hunter World had a crazy long set of patch notes? I appreciate that they detail what they fix. I mean, rarely do they ever leave it up to various tweaks for playability and the boilerplate nonsense. System stability and stuff. Chozo artifacts, you had to scan the statues at the shrine and it would give you a riddle on where the artifacts were hidden. Yeah, was that the first one? Oh, well, I don't recall actually having a problem with that, so. Beast says Fatalis, yeah, I hope it's Gore Magala. That would be cool, because I've not... That's a cool monster. That was in, well, either 4 or Generations. Actually, it might have been in both. I think that was the big bad of 4, right? So I skipped 4 because those were handheld. So anything that, so that I forget what it is, but it's the bubble monster, the pink bubble monster, the pink bubble dragon. I want to play that one. Or if they want to bring back like an event quest, that gigantic snake one, the name of which I doesn't know, but it's like a 1,000-foot long gigantic snake that coils up a mountain. I forget. Thardus for Metroid Prime 1. Is that the rock monster? I'm bad with names. But anyway, fun game. Mitsune, yeah. Or Mizutsune. Mizutsune. Okay. Wow, that's a tough one. Mizutsune. Yeah, that's a cool monster. I haven't fought it. There's a bunch. Have not played 4 Ultimate Generations or Generations Ultimate. Didn't play any of those. So anything that was exclusive to the, actually it'd be easier to say I've only played 3 Ultimate, World, and Iceborne. So those are the only Monster Hunter games I've played. Oh, Dalamador. That's right. That's the big snake one. Yeah. Honestly, you know who my favorite Duramboros. I don't know if that's anyone's favorite, but I love that wacky dude. He looks kind of like a giant camel cow thing, with like an ankylosaurus tail, and his big gimmick is he doesn't just swing his big club tail at you. He like spins in a circle, like the hammer throw in the Olympics, where the person, and then they spin in circles with the hammer and they let it rip. Duramboros does that with his tail. He can almost fly because he just whips that sucker around and just flings himself over it. I love Duramboros. That was probably my favorite monster just because he's so damn funny. Let's see. Capcom not too long ago did promise they'd be making a Monster Hunter for Switch. Well, they did. Generations is on Switch. I wonder how that would work, since no way Monster Hunter World could be put on... Yeah, World probably wouldn't run on the Switch. Anything else would feel like a step backwards. Well, I think Stories is on Switch, although that's not Monster Hunter. That's just Stories. It's a spin-off. SOB. Yeah, Beast knows what I'm talking about. That helicopter spin from Duramboros. Oh, God, I love that damn monster. This thing is so funny. And it's one of those monsters that's kind of cute, and you feel bad about picking a fight with. He's almost like Dodogama, who is like, I just want to keep Dodogama as a pet. He's just so damn cute. There's a couple monsters in the game that you feel you don't want to pick a fight with because they're too cute. Have I heard of the video game being made about Smeagol's self-exile from Lord of the Rings? No, I have not. Scrumble says, my favorite monster is the big turkey and Glavenus. well, Glavenus is definitely one of them. He's the one with the sword tail, and there's two versions of him in World, or well, Iceborne specifically, regular Glavenus and acidic Glavenus. I think he was introduced in 4, if I'm not mistaken. Might be. Very cool monster. Big turkey. Can yet cut. What the hell? I think I know which one you might be talking about. Yan Garuga, I think is the one of the versions of it. First monster in Monster Hunter 4 on the 3DS. Beast can probably figure out exact what. Not Kuluyaku. That is it. Yan the not Yan Garuga, but let me see if I can find it. Yan Kutku, I think. Is that the right one? Let me look up some images. Yeah, Yan Kutku. That is that the turkey looking one? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Beast found it too. That's who I'm guessing you're saying the turkey one. So that's a funny monster. What's interesting is Yan Kutku is not in World or Iceborne, but Yan Garuga is, which was kind of unexpected. But Scrungle says, yeah, he's one of my faves, little spitty boy. Yeah. Wilson says, I am super game. Monster Hunter World did as well as it did. Best-selling Capcom game ever. We told you that Monster Hunter would do well on a real platform. Yeah. I imagine that the next Monster Hunter game, although while overall Monster Hunter World did huge in Japan compared to other Monster Hunter titles, it didn't sell as well. Only looking at Japan. So I would imagine that the next Monster Hunter thing we'll see out of Capcom will be a handheld. Although there are no handhelds really other than the Switch. Would they make a Switch exclusive? Because I don't know, the Vita is kind of defunct now, right? And I don't see a Vita game coming out. But tough call. I don't know. But they have 2 teams, I think. So I imagine we'll see a Monster Hunter game before the World team does Monster Hunter World 2 or whatever. But I think they've done a nice job with keeping the game alive and not getting super greedy with the with like microtransactions. Like all the monsters and stuff have been free. They do have a bunch of paid stuff, which is way overpriced, but most of it is like the gestures and dances and stuff, which are super cool. But yeah, I'm not paying like $3 for a funny dance. Matthew says a decent chance they make a Switch exclusive one and then Monster Hunter World 2. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking handheld and then console. I was thinking, well, really the only handheld we have is the Switch, but the Switch is doing really well, so, and is popular in Japan, so it's probable that we might see a Switch exclusive Monster Hunter, and not like stories, like an actual full-on like Monster Hunter 5, 6, I don't know, Monster Hunter Odyssey. Jordan, Monster Hunter Mobile. What, you guys don't have phones? Yeah. For anyone who doesn't get the reference, that was Blizzard a year or so ago when they announced, was it not Diablo 4? Was it a Diablo or what the hell was it? But they had a game. I forget what it was. Someone in the chat. What the hell were they announcing? Where Oh, what? It was Diablo. Okay, so it's like, all right, we've got a new Diablo. Everyone at our BlizzCon convention, we know what you're here for. New Diablo, and the crowd's like, oh my God, new Diablo! It's been so long since Diablo 3 for mobile, and everyone's like checking their phones. They're like, no, it's not April Fool's Day, and they're like, what? No, nobody wants that. Why do you think that would ever be okay? And the poor presenters on stage who were just there doing their jobs were like, oh, come on, guys. Everyone has phones, right? It's like, yeah, I have a TI-86 calculator too, but I don't want to play games on it. SO Beast, I want a Monster Hunter game that looks like Breath of the Wild on Switch. For Switch. It's an attractive look, a more cartoony looking Monster Hunter, sure. I want a spin-off game called Monster Hunter Animal Husbandry, where the monsters are dying off, so you have to chase them down and harvest their so you have to let's see, you have to beat the snot out of, you have to beat the monsters unconscious and then beat them off and collect their goods. And then I guess you have to chase something else down and impregnate it, because I'm a sick person. This is the only way we can save your species. Thump. Devil Joe's like, no, stay away from me with your cold gloved hands. Get away. Yep. I'm a sick human being. Jordan says that's like Nintendo releasing a new Mario Kart for mobile. Oh, yeah. Jordan says, how about a relaxing monster herding game where you just keep them in, you build like a nature preserve. That's right. There is, well, I mean, you know, you're stealing the male monster's goods to impregnate the female monster. You're not you're not wandering around raping the monsters. That would be terrible. It's like, all right, I'm gonna mount this monster. No, not like that. What is the skill? Mounting master or something like that? They might have to rethink that one. It's like, all right, here's your elbow length gloves and a bucket. Go get them. It's like, I hate my job. Alright, today is, this would be funnier if I could remember the monster's name. Big disgusting worm monster. The little ones are, Giganox. Yep. It's hot in here. So, hey. Oh, the Great Mako. I like, what was the one in Try? Real colorful bird thing that, Korapeko or something? I have no idea how that name's supposed to be pronounced, but that was funny. Capcom. We were thinking about giving our giant Monster Hunter fan Andrew an ambassador job, but then we saw this podcast. We're like, no. Although we are going to write that one down, because that's a pretty funny idea. Yeah, seriously. I want, you know, you have a room in Monster Hunter that you can decorate with, you can capture endemic life, you know, rabbits and birds and stuff, and just let them loose in your house. What I want are miniature versions of the monsters to just roam. I want a dog-sized Dodogama just running around my house. That would be great. Dead by Daylight? It's the one with the, that's a asynchronous multiplayer game where one person plays the bad guy and the other people plays the killer and the other people play the survivors, right? Yeah. Bring back the Leslie and Bob show. Oh yeah, I didn't do that for Iceborne. Maybe I'll think about doing that for the next Monster Hunter game. Because I wouldn't have much to show for Alatreon, because That was just me dying over and over. I think I probably carded to Alatreon more than any other monster. You know who actually might be the hardest monster? Tempered Rajang. Because I can't get Tempered Rajang to hang around the guiding lands. He keeps leaving. I've fought that son of a gun 3 times. And it was literally like 3 months before I finally encountered a Tempered Rajang, which was annoying because I needed Tempered Rajang parts for something. And he finally showed up. And then he left before I could kill him. Luckily, I had my Palico on, not Switchblade, Plunderblade. So I managed to get all the parts off of him I needed, but I don't think I've ever killed a Tempered Rajang because he just gets bored and he leaves the guiding lands before I kill him, which is annoying. Same with Kolv Taroth. I've never beaten Kolv Taroth because Kolv Taroth keeps leaving. She's like, I'm bored. Bye. And then she leaves. I'm like, But your armor's so good. I want your armor. Stay so I can carve it off your butt. Never beat Behemoth either because Behemoth was an annoying fight and I didn't want to play it. I mean, I imagine it would probably be somewhat trivial now that I have endgame master rank equipment, but it would still be annoying because Behemoth just casts that damn tornado thing over and over and over. Even Kushala Daora is like, dude, seriously, lay off. You're spamming that stuff. Stop it. That's an inside joke. Monster Hunter fans will get that. Couldn't beat Safi'jiiva either because you get 20 minutes and what you're supposed to do is like break parts, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I cannot get any parts on that monster to break. Like I took the entire 20-minute quest and focused on exclusively one part, like that I could reach easy, like its left arm or something like that, would not break. And I felt I was doing a lot of damage, but of course these are the monsters that Capcom really does want you to play with other people, but I don't want to play with other people. I want to play with myself. So, let's see. What VR type cards that came with the 3DS? You could have a virtual Monster Hunter pet that way. Beast says you got to do Kolv in a team. Yeah, but I don't wanna. I'd have to pay for PlayStation Plus, and I don't wanna. You know, but it's weird, 'cause even Master Rank, that's another one with a DPS check. She leaves after like 6 minutes or something if you don't meet whatever the threshold is, and I'm like, man, I'd have to look up what the hell her element is, and then I'd have to redo my armor for actual attack power, and I don't wanna. I mean, I really like her. I'm sure her armor's really cool, but and I've seen it. It's very cool, but and she looks like a fun fight, but she just doesn't want to fight me. She keeps leaving. It's annoying. Okay, well, we're after 8. I'm melting. I need to eat dinner. But hey, come back tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, and we'll play some Hollow Knight, a game whose first 21 minutes didn't do it for me. So let's see if playing it a bit longer than that changes my mind. So Hollow Knight tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube, or you can watch it on Twitch if that is your preference. And yeah, hope it'll be fun. So have a fun night, everyone. I don't know if I'm gonna play any more Alatreon tonight, but I'll get back to it at some point and see if I can stop sucking long enough to beat it at least once. So anyway, see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.